What is going on, bros? It's T-Shroom in for the Investing Bros. We're going to be getting into some charts, into some stories, and breaking down the first day of trading for the Hong Kong spot Bitcoin ETFs. We're going to do it all here live on the Investing Bros. If you're just tuning in for the first time, you're coming into a very discounted market that could be discounted further. But congratulations and welcome. Whoever sent you here, give them a call and give them a thank you. So you're here, you're having fun. Make sure that you smash the like button if you get a little bit of value out of this video. Also consider subscribing to the Investing Bros. Well, here's what it looked like yesterday on the scene. This was in the Hong Kong markets. China, the NBS MFG had the gongs roaring as the spot Bitcoin ETFs went live for the first time. Now, the result has been abysmal. It's been disappointing. Folks have not been excited about it. We'll go over some of those details here in just a second. But on the scene, it looked like everybody was pretty excited. You know, people were posing for pictures, and they were all off to a pretty good start symbolically, especially considering that Bitcoin is still banned in China, right? And Hong Kong is part of China. It has a special administrative relationship with China, but it is absolutely part of China. So for there now to be a Bitcoin ETF trading in Hong Kong, it's quite an interesting dynamic that for a commenter like me to be looking at definitely does not make me bearish on Bitcoin. It makes me very bullish on the future of a coin that is being institutionalized. It's being swallowed up into traditional financial systems in the most powerful regions of the world, in the United States and North America and China, the world's two global superpowers. Now, the Chinese government has reason for the mainlanders, for the majority of the population, to not have access to that Bitcoin. But for some of the most wealthy Hong Kongers, they're going to be able to have access to that if they so choose. All right, so let's go ahead and jump on into the charts and take a look here at Bitcoin. I've got the 1 month candles pulled up here. You can see that we have 100% given up the 64.8 level. We're going to go back and look at that, and it's actually the main rejection level for what has created this downside. And now we're playing with this level here. These are the candle body closes from October 21st and November 21st of 2021. The green one closed up. The red one would have opened at that same level at 61,400, call it. So zooming back into the daily chart, we can kind of keep that in mind. That's what this white line is here that we're about to go see on a different time frame, on the daily time frame. All right, and as you can see, we are live giving that up, right? If this candle body were to go ahead and close today on the daily, we would have given up that level. That would be bearish. Now, we slightly gave it up here, and we had wicks lower down to 59 back here in mid-April, but right now we're cruising for a full candle body to close right below that, which again, we did technically get over here, but this would be much more convincing. So what does this mean? Well, if we zoom out, it doesn't mean a whole lot. It means that we could test lower, and we don't know exactly how low, right? But if we zoom out, it really just means that there's sideways consolidation, similar to after this run back here of 84%, we had sideways consolidation, right? And even put in a higher high after moving, probably call it like 70%. And from there we went sideways, put in a higher high, I wouldn't say for this run it's a huge correction lower, right, of 20% right now, and then we made a move higher. Right now, we've made a big move higher of, I'll go ahead and draw it out, keep that comparison there, 87%, right? Haven't put in a higher high, I will note. However, we have moved sideways, and then we've dropped, and you could kind of assume that we're in this part of the phase right here. There could be one more flush lower. We don't know exactly. There could be one more flush lower, or we could be at the lows ready to skyrocket. There's a chance also that we break this formation and that we go ahead and we see some price action significantly to the downside, right? Down to 48 with some of the levels that Tim was talking about yesterday. 48 would put us right around in here, right? Finding support on this high back here from January 11th. Do I think that's going to happen? I think it's possible. I think it's, it's probably like 5 to 10% likely at this point, right? But I don't think it's my base case. I think my base case comes from the Fibonacci's that Piper over at Piper Academy helped me draw many weeks ago now. And now I've been using the Fibonacci extension like it's going out of style. I love it. But for me, my base case here is that we actually keep this support that we're at now, 61.3. We keep this for a while. And there's going to be another fake, just like we had a fake here, a fake higher, and then a move lower. I think probably we'll have another move higher, and then we're either going to break out, and this will be the move higher, or we're going to go ahead and we're going to test 58. Now, T-Shroom, you said that was your base case. You just gave two scenarios. What is your base case? I think my base case is both, right? We come up, we clog our heads on this. Let me extend this downtrending line of support so that we can see. And by the way, this is the story of what happened yesterday. We'll get into it in just a second. So we have showing the base case here. So we come back up one more time, bonk our heads, and then go ahead and we come down and test 58. I really do think that's what's going to happen. We should have done that back here and could have gotten it out of the way and then made a move higher. But right now, we really, I think, do need to see 58. And if we see 58, then there is a chance that we do go lower, right? Because it's Bitcoin after all. It wants to have as much price, any asset wants to have price exploration to the downside so that it can see, where those major levels of support are, flush out the sellers, and then go ahead and make a move higher, which could bring us potentially to 55, right? And I arrive at 55. There is some confluence for it. It's just below the golden pocket for Bitcoin on the daily. But also if we go out to the weekly chart, you can see that if we kill the big fib, kill it, there we go, and we turn on the Bollinger Bands, the Bollinger Bands do bring us to 55. But I think that by the time we get down there, it'll be a bit higher. So there's a chance that we don't actually see 55 and that 58 really becomes the new 55. But remember, what was included in my base case here, going back to the daily, is that we, don't want to move that line, is that we come back and we spend some time, again, gearing up for another test of this downtrending line of resistance. All right. So that would spell the midline of the Bollinger Band on the weekly, having some time to catch up with price action, and that would equal a higher price, probably 56, maybe even 58 by that point, which would be in line with the Bollinger Bands here, with the fib, 58. So hopefully I explained that somewhat well. We'll see. Atreyu said, it's so hard to tell what's going to happen. It is. It can be, especially down here on the daily charts. And that's why you tune in to get, a sober-minded read of what these are. Here at the Investing Bros, we try to be grounded and give you guys a realistic expectation. Notice what hasn't come out of my mouth this morning, right? Is price levels to the upside. Guys, there's a world where today, we have an abysmal day, maybe even close below 61, right? I guess not abysmal. We have like kind of a sleepy day, right? Not much movement in the crypto markets, other than the selling that's already ensued this morning. But there's a world where we just have a little bit of a sleepy day, but then the Hong Kong ETFs pick up, the Australian ETFs pick up. There's some kind of signal and a gunshot goes off in a positive sense, and we're back in the platinum pocket talking about pushing higher, right? That's another world that we can live in. It all just depends on the market and it depends on global liquidity. Tomorrow is, or on the 1st of May, we'll be getting the decision from the Fed. We'll be getting the decision from the Treasury. We'll also have a lot more earnings reports, and U.S. markets will have a better understanding of what the forecast for the coming quarters and for the rest of the year are going to look like. And capital allocation will be rolled out accordingly. Okay. But for right now, I'm looking at lower price levels for Bitcoin. Why would I be doing that? Because I want to pinpoint where I want to enter. I have come upon some dry capital, some dry powder now, which is nice. For those of you who don't know, I'm in wedding season, right? So I have some expenses. So to have a little dry powder is a bit of a luxury for me this time of year. Right about now, it's nice to have a little dry powder. So I'm looking at lower levels to try to pinpoint where I want to enter. Do I want to try to go ahead and be greedy and get in at 58? Or do I want to be a different kind of greedy and wait until 56, potentially 55? Right? It's all part of the calculation. Now, zooming in, this downtrending line of resistance has become a lot more important, right? Because it's what we bounced off of last night to be able to reject and move lower. You'll also notice it coincides with the midline of the Bollinger Band. This midline of the Bollinger Band is probably like less than 0.5 standard deviations from this downtrending line of resistance, which is kind of interesting. All right, let's turn off the fib. Let's turn off the Bollinger Bands, and let's look at Lux Algo and see what we're saying. See what we're seeing here. So Lux Algo out on the daily is saying that the reversal bands don't even start until 56, right? Which gives further argumentation, gives further potential for more downside movement down to that level, to 56 and kind of 55 is where I think probably the finality would be for that. 48 would be the extreme finality for this price exploration to the downside. The second wave here comes in at 50, right, which is kind of laying that carpet for 48, which would be an oversell, an overcorrection to the downside, and then a move higher. So those are going to be the reversal bands there from Lux Algo signals and overlays. You can get access to that in the links below in the description. Right now, on the daily chart, we're still under a sell signal here from Lux Algo. Right? I think a buy signal would probably come in. It's somewhere around these lower levels, or if we were to go ahead and break back into some higher levels as well. But right now, sell signal. All right, let's go ahead and kill that one, and let's bring up the daily chart here. Let's actually go down to the 4-hour to look at the price action concepts. And taking a look at these, you can see that we're not too far from the discount zone on the 4-hour, which knock, knock, knock should kind of indicate to you, hey, this needs to come back and test this zone. Where would that put us? 60,000, right? We've already been in this zone. Okay, so now the question is the disappointment from the Hong Kong ETF debut enough to bring us down today to 60,000 and get back into that discount zone? 58 is the bottom of that discount zone, and below that resets, but 58, is in the cards potentially for today. Let's see how much of a percentage that is down. It's only a 4% move down right now, coming in after a move of already of, I think, more than that. I believe you have 6%. I think that I don't think it's all going to happen in one day. It's just kind of my hunch. Could it? Yeah, could. All right. Well, there's some bullish news on the horizon here, folks. I'm being honest with you. We're being grounded here. We're trying to face reality and look into the eyes of the void and say, I'm going to buy the dip, right? But we are trying to remain optimistic, right? But be realistic, okay? I've taken a look at Bitcoin and kind of shown us, some of the lower price levels that we could potentially expect. Maybe you disagree. Maybe you think we're going to the moon before the end of the stream. That's okay. To each their own. We will press on. Kyle Field said, the likelihood of the powers that be allowing Bitcoin to crash after a debut is slim to none. They'll let it dip, but that's about it. Sure. That's a good point, right? Now the question is, what is it? What do they consider a crash? right? I think getting down to 48,000 in one day is not a crash, but that is starting to probably get a lot of emails in my inbox from my clients that I manage money for over at Fidelity and BlackRock, and it's probably giving me a little bit of the heebie-jeebies, making me a little bit uncomfortable. I don't want to see 48 in a day from the levels, just above 60 that we're at now. But I generally agree with you, Kyle Fields. It's a good point. Michael Barron said, I sold my short and opened long on this dip. ETF's average is almost 60K. I believe that's support. Cool. There we go. Getting some, I don't know who you are, Michael Brian, but that sounds pretty good. If you were short through this chop, that's really good. That's very, very astute. So props to you. Very good job. Very good job indeed. Let's go ahead and jump on into some of the details here from the Hong Kong debut. Hong Kong spot Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs see 11 million volume in the debut. During the first quarter of 2024, the combined average daily turnover, ADT, for the three futures ETFs, which were already live and have been live for years now, was 51.3 million in Hong Kong dollars and 6.5 million in American dollars, according to the exchange, up from $1 million USD during the same time in 2023. Okay, so that's a little bit of context. So relatively speaking, the 6 new spot funds have already outperformed their fastest growing Bitcoin and Ethereum futures counterparts among Hong Kong traders. But the new spot ETFs have made a much smaller splash than the US spot Bitcoin ETFs made when they began trading in January. And if you've been tuning into the BROZ, and other channels have been moonboying the crap out of this Hong Kong headline story, but if you've been listening to the BROZ, where we try to be a lot more grounded, a lot more realistic about what you're actually investing in here, not telling you to go buy a bunch of dog whiff hat and try to time some 100x trade, right? If you're just tuning in, seeing what the actual value of Bitcoin, of Ethereum is, you will have heard much more sober and grounded voices, most of the time sober, and grounded voices talking about, how this Hong Kong ETF is not going to really be anywhere close to as bullish as the United States counterpart, right? But what is being pointed out here very well by decrypt.co is that this is generally bullish, right? It's actually outpaced the futures ETFs that went live. So that's good. That's generally good. I mean, it's showing that there is interest. It's not anywhere near what some of the more bullish predictions were, right? But we're in crypto. People are going to make crazy predictions to try to pump the price, sell, short, whatever they're going to do and try to manipulate. I'm not saying that there's manipulation here. I think that folks call for manipulation far too often. But overall, I wouldn't say that this is a complete failure. But yesterday I did ask the question, is the Hong Kong Bitcoin ETF a sell the news event or a real bullish force? Most people said bullish, right? Which was prime for expectations not being met, right? If the market thinks, and by the market I mean 60 people, that's definitely not the market, but it's somewhat representative, you could say. We're bullish, thinking that this was going to be bullish. So overall, right, I think the market was disappointed. But again, if you've been listening to the Investing Bros, if you've been listening to me and tuning in to the 9 a.m. stream, right, and seeing the chat, seeing kind of the types of folks who are flowing in and out and leaving comments, you would have expected, hey, this Hong Kong ETF is not going to be a huge bullish catalyst immediately. Now, eventually it will be, especially if the Chinese mainlanders are able to invest in one way or another in Bitcoin. If you're enjoying the stream, make sure that you go ahead and smash the like button and also consider subscribing. Today's video and stream is brought to you by who we trust, which is iTrust Capital. Go ahead and set up your tax advantage crypto IRA today by clicking the link in the description. And bros, we just put out a video yesterday of a tutorial of how to set this up and 9 excellent coins to go ahead and hold in your crypto IRA for the bull market. Speaking of the bull market, MicroStrategy buys even more Bitcoin, pushing the stash to $13.5 billion. Now, it wasn't as recently as you thought. The reason why we're reporting on this today is because this new purchase came out with the Q1 earnings report. On Monday, the software firm, you may have forgotten that MicroStrategies actually makes software too in their day job. On Monday, the software firm and Bitcoin development company announced its Q1 2024 fiscal financial results and took the opportunity to note that it purchased even more Bitcoin since the end of March amid a rough few weeks for the crypto markets. MicroStrategies purchased 122 additional Bitcoin for a total of 7.8 million between April 1st and April 26th. So these were somewhat recent purchases, and this is the first time, I believe, that this has been released to the press. While that's smaller than many of the company's previous BTC buys over the last years, and a drop in the ocean compared to its overall stash, it does push the size of the company's holdings to a new all-time peak. As of Friday, MicroStrategy holds 214,400 Bitcoin, or 13.5 billion worth at the current price of the asset. It's also more than 1% of the total supply of Bitcoin that will ever be created, with nearly 19.7 million Bitcoin of the total 21 million supply circulating currently. So it's pretty wild that they're buying more, right? I'm not surprised. I think some people may be. I think especially if you're newer to crypto, you might be zooming out on the Bitcoin charts thinking maybe this is topped out, right? You might be listening to other really intelligent commentators. Wolf of All Street's put out a post on Twitter I saw, saying, asking seriously, is the bull run, has we've seen the top of this bull run? And nothing against him. I think he was just taking the devil's advocate, trying to think about, that potentiality. And we like to ask those hard questions too here in the Investing Bros, right? But the reality is, and this is what I've been kind of pounding the pavement on here on the 3 p.m. stream as well. Wait, Investing Bros goes live at 3 p.m. Eastern Time? We absolutely do, every weekday. Is that we are not here in the cycle, in my opinion, right? And in the opinion of the historic data, right? It may seem like we're going to mimic this type of move here and then go into a bear market, right? Based on where we are now. We've had this huge run up, similar to back here with the big run up, and then we're just going to come back, have a fake, push a little higher, and then be off to a bear market. That is not what is going to happen, in my opinion. We are somewhere here in the cycle, right? And the ETFs have completely distorted the market in terms of timing. And so we've had a very big run up that we need to cool down from. And we could see bigger pullbacks potentially than what we've seen historically of the 50, I believe this one's 56 variety. Yeah, 56% pullback. We could see even bigger than that because of how much inflow we got into Bitcoin before the halving, before that organic retail flow that is usually front run by institutions, but this time it's been insane. It's been different, right? That's why that we've been having the phrase "this time is different." So what is more likely to happen, in my opinion, is something that's going to require me to zoom out quite a bit more, right? Which is we're going to look at those standard chartered, a very conservative prediction from very talented, institutional analysts of something more like this, right? We come down, test 55, maybe I'm going to go all the way down to 48, right? And then we're off to the races, probably clunking our heads pretty hard on 100,000, maybe coming back, seeing a 60% drop, coming back, testing that 72 line of support, 73, whatever it is, right? But then we're off to the races, right? That's where I think we are in the cycle. Getting up to 120,000, right, would be an extremely conservative estimation of where we would be. Would that be in March of 2025? I don't think so. I think it would happen a lot earlier, right? So this line may look more like this, right? But that's what I think. I think that's where we are in the cycle. Now I'm drawing these lines very arbitrarily relative to time and relative to price. Just trying to give you an idea of where we are in the cycle. We are not about to look like this, right? And then come back up and then go into a bear market, right? That's not what I'm thinking is going to happen. And if you're new to crypto, if you're new to Bitcoin, it may be deceiving. You may be looking at, like, you may be coming from Forex, you may be coming from the stock market, you may be coming from bond trading or something like this, and you're sitting here questioning how is it going to go that high? Well, fundamentally, there are now 2 live ETFs. Well, many more than 2, but there are now ETFs in the biggest countries in the world, right? With the biggest financial institutions in the world. It's up to the Chinese government to unlock that for the mainlander institutions and retail, right? But those ETFs are there. The infrastructure is set up. The infrastructure is also set up for payments in Bitcoin, but that's a whole nother conversation. What I'm trying to hit home is, do not think that we are here. We are here, right? We're somewhere in the run up to the euphoria of the bull market. You might even say we're here, right? We're in that, kind of mid bull market pullback. But personally, if you're asking T-Shroom, I think we're somewhere right around in here, right? And we have quite a bit of bull market to go. All right, well, we're here at the end of the stream. Make sure that you guys are smashing the like button and hitting subscribe if you have enjoyed the show. I've been T-Shroom, and Tim and I will be live later today at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be having fun. We're going to be asking factoids, and we're going to be doing it huge. Now, let's see if there's anybody in the chat here. Miguel Pexoto said hi from Portugal. What is up, Miguel? Thank you so much for tuning in. Brutal said, I thought this is the longest bear that alts have seen already. So how much longer could it go? So we're not in a bear market anymore, Brutal. We are outside of the bear market now. That would have been kind of shown by Bitcoin hitting an all-time high. Right? We're not in a bear market. We are in a pullback, right? We're in a correction. This amount of buying all at once is due for a correction. We saw it back here, right? But we are not in this phase of the bull market. We're in this phase, one of these pullbacks, right? One of these pullbacks, maybe even down here still. And there's still, 580% to move, or 600, So that is a good distinction, though, Brutal. I really appreciate you tuning in and asking that kind of question, because it probably, more than 20% of other people in the chat right now and that are going to watch the video have that same thought, that same question. Let's see. Miguel said, great job. Thank you, Miguel. Trade Intuition saying, great show. Thank you so much, Trade Intuition. All right. El Thoro, who was in our 3 p.m. stream yesterday, said, yo, bros, I was here at 7 a.m., LOL. Now here to watch the show back. Okay. So you got in really early, and then something happened, and now you got in late. That's funny. That is too funny. All right, here for Palm Springs, California. Very nice. Gotta love it. Miguel, we'll leave off with Miguel's thought here. He said, people, be patient and buy more if you can. Don't let the whales buy it instead of us. Absolutely. And that if you can is doing a lot of work there, right? Because we could see pullbacks to 55, even 48. So be careful. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose. Right? You'll be selling Bitcoin for a loss if you buy with all of your money today, and then we go down, and then your rent comes due. Right? You'll have to sell Bitcoin for a loss. You do not want to do that. Keep some dry powder on the side for your bills. Risk management is how you play the bull market, right? It's also how you play the bear market. You can't abandon risk management, but you can start to abandon some traditional financial market instincts, which might tell you to sell when prices are overbought, right? In crypto bull markets, sometimes you have to ignore the overbought signals. And that may right there have triggered you. You might have been, I'm not listening to this anymore. These guys call themselves grounded. That's not grounded. It may not sound grounded to someone who's only ever traded stocks and bonds and Forex, and that's okay, right? But the reality is crypto is just built different, and it has much more volatility. And in bull markets, not bear markets, not sideways markets, in bull markets, the overbought indicators have to be taken with a grain of salt. All right, that's all I'm going to say. Risk management, ultra important. If you're trading today, keep those stop losses tight. And if you're human, stay hydrated. We'll see you at the 3 p.m. stream. Adios.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shrooms news, got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.